Hello folks and welcome back to Medieval Total War. I am Conostep and this is going to be part 26 of my early campaign where I'm playing as the Almohads. And this campaign is sitting pretty comfortably right now. Everything, knock on wood, but everything is looking pretty good. My treasury is at 63,000, although that can get much better and I intend on it climbing higher and higher. My income's looking at about almost 5,000, not quite there, but it's, yeah, that's pretty comfortable, I gotta say. 4,700 is not bad. I only have one enemy, the French. They've been my stubborn enemy pretty much this entire campaign, and they are looking pretty weak, so I'm not too worried about them. At this point, the only port that they own is this port here in Aquitaine, which means that I'm trading with every port on this map except for Aquitaine. The Danes have invaded their shores up here, so they're being pretty aggressive. And there's a lot going on here, like the Sicilians are taking over, they're, being very aggressive. They're only at war with the Italians officially, so the Italians are down to one province, and the Sicilians are really smart. They left the papacy alone, and the papacy is just kind of stuck here. They're pretty weak, so they can't really do much. So that's the way to go about it. You don't want to destroy the papacy, otherwise the papacy is just going to come back stronger. So they're doing well. Also, the Sicilians came up here and took Wessex and Northumbria. Now, it can be kind of hard to tell the difference because the Sicilians and the rebels are both gray, but the Sicilians are a little bit darker gray. So the rebels are here in Wales and Ireland. These are both rebel stacks. So the Sicilians were able to take two provinces in England without declaring war on anyone because these were already rebel stacks. So yeah, England's kind of in a tough spot right here. They can't really... I feel like they can't really move because their population loyalty isn't high enough to where if they move these stacks, everything will be okay. I think they're kind of stuck. So, yeah, they're in a rough spot. And that's kind of true throughout. Like, everyone's kind of dealing with their own shit right now. The Turks only have Greece, the Byzantines only have Bulgaria, and then the islands. The Egyptians are doing okay, but they are, facing a pretty ferocious push from the Mongols. I gotta say, so they did finally bring up that monster, group of stacks from Egypt, finally, and they've brought them up here to Anatolia, and they will be helping to push back the Mongolians. And I think that will do the trick, honestly. Just like a bunch of camels and a bunch of spears, that's kind of a recipe for, defeating the Mongolians. So they might be able to stabilize. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens here. And up here, it's kind of the same thing, where the Poles have been they've been fighting a very valiant effort here against the Mongolians, and bless their hearts, they're doing okay. I don't know if they're going to be able to survive. I don't know if it's enough. The Mongols do seem like they're starting to peter out a little bit. They're kind of running out of steam. They are, I believe they're, fighting the Novgorods. They tend to fight everyone. No, they're actually not at war with the Novgorods right now, so they've been leaving them alone. If they ever do choose to fight the Novgorods, that could be a tough little fight. Even though there's not a lot here, these boyars can be a pretty tough unit to fight up against. And then there's actually a couple rebel stacks here in Livonia, so yeah, interesting. Some Lithuanian cavalry. I mean, they're not bad armies, honestly. There's some feudal sergeants, crossbowmen, woodsmen. These are okay armies. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens on this end. Seeing how far the Mongols can keep pushing. Because, yeah, I don't think that they have a ton of options when it comes to trying to keep their population loyalty happy. I don't know if they can train new soldiers. I don't know if they can build buildings. I don't know if they can build, like border forts or anything like that. I'm not sure, what Mongols can and can't do. So, yeah, in the Shogun, in the Mongol invasion for that game, the Mongols really couldn't do anything. They could just build border forts and that was it. And they just had to wait for reinforcements. In this game, I really hope they can just, build things and train things like normal factions. That would be kind of silly if, if that wasn't the case, but I really don't know. They tend to run out of steam, so I'm not sure about that. There are a couple crusades headed towards Egyptian territories. There's a German crusade that's just they're gonna die out in a few more turns. This crusade's ready to desert. And then the French were not even allowed into Bulgaria. Yes, the Byzantines said no to the French. So they're kind of stuck here. They're just going to be hanging out in Hungary until they disappear. So that's going to be a knock on the influence of the Germans and the French. And both of these, factions are already kind of in a tough spot. The French more so than the Germans. Because the French just have like these provinces and then they have these provinces. And then the Germans, they're kind of in a confusing spot as well because they have, you know, Provence, Burgundy, and Ile-de-France. And then over here, then they have this group, this section of provinces as well. So yeah, they're in a kind of a confusing spot. And it's going to be curious to see, you know, if and when the Sicilians start pushing up against, I'd say, the Germans, but I don't know. And it's going to be also interesting to see what kind of noise the Danes can make in this part of the world as well. It's nice to have them here. It's nice. It's just interesting, you know? It's interesting to watch this happen. So, yeah, there's a lot going on, and it's pretty much all good for me because I'm sitting pretty gosh darn comfortably right now. The only thing that I'm really keeping my eyes on is that the Sicilians, you know, if they get too powerful, I'm going to have to like keep an eye on, you know, like make sure I might have to, like, you know, knock them down a step a little bit later in the campaign. But before I go to war with them, I'm going to need a better navy. And this is something that I talked about a little bit at the end of my last episode, where I just think that the Muslim navies do kind of start to fall behind the Catholic ones a little bit at this stage of the game. And it's not going to be until I can actually start getting my gunboats, my cannons. I'm not sure what the next boat is called for the Muslims, but it's going to be after the gunpowder event. Once gunpowder has been invented, then I'll be able to start building gunboats, but as you know, also like artillery, like gunpowder artillery, as well as gunpowder weapons for my armies as well. So my armies are just about caught up as far as what I'm capable of doing as an Almohad faction. I'm simply just kind of, you know, like sending my units back to provinces to get their upgrades, like another set of upgrades once those buildings are completed. I'm just kind of cycling them through at this point, just because I don't really need more soldiers, but I do need to keep them up to date with the rest of the world, because the rest of the world, you know, can really get better units, but I can't. I'm kind of stuck with what I have right now, but I think it will be capable, especially, you know, seeing as how everyone's kind of struggling right now. So at this point, I'm sending some Ghulam bodyguards, not bodyguards, but some Ghulam cavalry to Castile just to get trained up. Oh no, these are all bodyguards, yeah. So my Ghulam cavalry must have the up-to-date upgrades, yeah. Yeah, that looks good here. And one thing else is that I just have my king right now. There's no heirs who are of age. He's 27, but still not having any heirs is a little bit scary. I believe that these two are his brothers, Ismail and Yusuf, and then Prince Ali I'm hoping is his son. So it's going to be important. I mean, it's going to be another 6 years before Prince Ismail becomes of age, so it's going to be very, very important that I do make sure that this guy does not die to any cheeky assassination attempts. So I do have my border fort here in Aragon. I have a spy. I have an assassin. We're all you know, ready to protect our lord. So hopefully that works out okay. And then I did also destroy all of my border forts and all of my provinces that aren't Cyrenaica, Aragon, and Navarre. You know, my actual border provinces. Just in an attempt to try to lure some, if we can get some enemy agents, some enemy spies or assassins wandering into our territories, while we have spies and assassins providing counterintelligence so that they can hopefully catch these enemy agents and then rank up and gain, you know, higher valor that way. That would be nice. Although I did see this, I do want to make sure I still have the watchtowers. These do not catch enemy agents, they just provide population loyalty, and that's, you know, that's important. Other than that, I'm not going too crazy with the building right now. I'm starting to slow down a little bit, although I probably should keep going with Navarre. Navarre is probably ready for a citadel, I think. Let's see, do I want anything else? I don't think I need Faris, and I don't think I need an inn. Royal Court, probably not. Shipwright, yeah, maybe. I suppose it's good to get shipwrights, just to have as many provinces as possible that I can build boats. But I really don't want to be building boats here because Navarre does have the iron resource, which is going to be, you know, of course, good for my land troops. So how about I just skip the shipwright and I just go right to the citadel so that I can get the next round of upgrade buildings, the next round of metalsmiths and armors for my soldiers. I think that seems like a pretty good idea. And that's going to be it for the Italians. The Sicilians came in to Genoa and they finished them off. I would not be surprised if we saw a faction reemergence at some point, though. And the Egyptian Sultan has died as well, but his heir has taken over command. I have some improved farmland finished here in Portugal because I may as well make as much, money as I can here. And Portugal, I think, does have decent farmland, so it's worth an upgrade or two. Do we have anything interesting here? Fast talker. So court jesters come to this man for lessons on how to turn a pithy phrase. His mind is as sharp as his conversation. +2 acumen. Loyal, master of numbers, +3 acumen. Oh, that's really good. Very charitable. +1 piety, +10 happiness. Secret envy. Ooh. He so passionately wants power and glory, he cannot stand to see others enjoying it. He secretly engages spies and assassins to plot against them. +1 dread and -2 loyalty. And then Sybarite, so -2 valor for this guy, just because he loves drinking, he loves eating, loves having a fun time. Now gunpowder has been invented. Thanks to the arcane skills of the alchemists, a new substance, gunpowder, is now available. While it may have the sulfurous reek of Satan when used, be fit only for peasants, and make a horrendous racket, it can only be a matter of time before gunpowder appears on the battlefield. Alright, sweet. Yeah, that's going to give me something to work towards now. I was running out of things to build, and now I should have a whole line of, well, new ships and artillery buildings, and as I was saying before, I should be able to build some like gun units. What are they called? Handgunner units buildings. Yeah, stuff like that. So cool. And I love using gunpowder. In Shogun, I loved it, and in this game, even though it's a little less effective, it's still super fun. So I'm looking forward to getting those units out on the battlefield. And yeah, I'll probably incorporate them into my armies a little bit. Again, it's a little bit, they're not, as useful as in Shogun. That game does take place a couple hundred years. When does it start? The start date is 1530, and the end date for this game is 1453. So the start of the campaign in Shogun Total War does take place 80 years after the end of this campaign in this game. So gunpowder tactics have gotten a lot better by then, and the effectiveness is much more pronounced. In this game, it's more of a tool that can be used to lower morale. It's not going to really get a lot of kills. Whereas in Shogun, you can just mow down armies with guns. It's really, really fun. And it's something that I had to really kind of pump the brakes on, because I wanted to use guns in every single campaign, but I also like to play each of my campaigns in sort of a different way. So I needed to kind of limit myself and only use gunpowder in a couple of factions, or for a couple of factions. In this game, it's more about keeping up with the Joneses, right? So when gunpowder becomes available, I still like to have it just because there is a place for it. It's always, so in pretty much all of my provinces where I'm going to be, having armies, I like to have a mix of pretty much all of my units that are available, because I don't know what the enemy is going to bring, and, what stacks and what compositions I want to bring to face them really does depend on what they have. And what I've found is that gunpowder can be really useful for the long battles where the enemy brings a lot of skirmish cavalry to the fore. Not so much about bringing gunpowder in the first wave, but bringing them as reinforcements, because at that point they can kind of just sit on my lines and drive off the horse archers with their volleys of these bullets that cause fear, So they might do a few casualties to the horse archers, but it's mostly about, at that point in the battle, a lot of times the general's usually dead, or he's captured, or he's run away. So if there's any additional waves of forces coming in from the enemy, the guns typically do a pretty good job, because there's already going to be a minus morale hit on the enemy, and then you combine that with the negative morale debuff from the guns, and they do a pretty good job of just kind of scaring off the extra waves until the battle's over. So there is a place on the battlefield for them. It can be a little bit tricky to make them work, but that's part of the fun, at least for me. Moving right into the gunpowder buildings, we have access to a bell foundry now. So while bells are vital for regulating daily toil and summoning people to prayer in Christian lands, the skills of the bell founder are also useful in more violent ways. The same techniques used to cast spells can be used to make guns, although never in safety as molten metal is dangerous. So this is going to allow me, as a Muslim faction, it's going to allow me to build mortars. And, so for the Catholics, they can actually build these bombards, which is kind of a very primitive cannon that actually does have a chance of blowing up. The mortars, my understanding is that there's no chance of it blowing up. I think it's pretty consistent in that regard. However, making them actually work is kind of hard. I found that it's interesting because they're not really good against walls of castles because there's an arc to it. It's a mortar. It goes up in the air and then it comes down. And it's really hard to like hit walls of castles. And then so I thought, okay, maybe use it against soldiers in like an open field battle. And it was just so inaccurate that it wasn't hitting anything. And there's no explosion radius. It's just an iron ball that goes up in the air and then falls down. So it's not like a howitzer, where like it launches this round that's going to blow up amidst the enemy. It just literally is a ball that falls out of the air. And I wasn't finding it to be really effective. So maybe I was using it incorrectly. Maybe that there's better ways to use it. I'm going to definitely try again. Abso-freaking-lutely, because, that's fun to, as I was saying before, it's fun to try new things and see if I can make it work. But yeah, I was pretty disappointed with the mortars, but let's just see if I can make it work. And if anything, the Bell Foundry is going to be, well, it's the first building anyway. So once I build this, then I can build the next gunpowder building, whatever that is. And that's going to allow me to get better artillery on the field that, just shoot straight and take down castle walls. Now, I should also want to get some guns going as well. So I can do that here. I can get a gunsmith's workshop. It's a completely different line of buildings here. So as the art of gunpowder weaponry advances, a team of workers is required to make the newer and sturdier types of firearm. The gunsmith's workshop allows the training of units that use these weapons and a sufficient supply of gunpowder for them to function on the battlefield. And yeah, same thing. It is gonna, this is gonna be the first step, right? Until I can get a gunsmith's guild and then a master gunsmith. But this is gonna allow me to train handgunners. Now, handgunners are interesting. This is the first tier gunpowder, unit that I can actually bring to the battlefield. They're not great, as I was saying before. They're not really great at their primary job of, shooting guns and killing with that. But there's a few things that are kind of surprising in a secondary role. They have decent armor. If I remember correctly, their armor rating is 3, which is pretty solid, and they aren't terrible in melee combat either. Not something that you necessarily want in your front lines, although maybe yes. I'm not exactly sure. I've never really used them that way, but maybe sort of what I was talking about before, where you bring them in as reinforcements, maybe they can do a decent job against enemy reinforcements where they can launch their volley, lower the enemy morale with that -6. I think it's -6 morale, and then they charge in with a counterattack and actually fight in melee. Maybe that's a decent way to use these guys. Also, just kind of the classic way of using them is bringing them around the flanks of enemy units who are already engaged to one of my own units, getting a volley into the rear of the enemy unit, breaking their morale, and then sending these guys into melee combat to actually further decrease the enemy morale, right? So they'll be taking that morale hit from getting shot by gunpowder, in addition to a morale hit by having an enemy unit fighting you that's on your rear. Those are 2 separate morale hits. So that can stack and theoretically break a unit right away. So these are all ways that these handgunners can be used. So this is absolutely a unit that I want to get going. For the record, the Egyptians actually can get access to a handgun unit before the gunpowder event. I believe they have access to Mamluk handgunners, and they're pretty pitiful. They're really, really bad, is my understanding. I've never actually used them in a battle. Just looking at their stats, they're really, really bad. It seems like a unit that really is only good for lowering morale. Like, they can't be used in a fight like handgunners can. and they don't have decent armor like handgunners can. So the Mamluk handgunners are just there for the morale hit. And in that regard, this is a question that I have, because this is a similar thing for pretty much all of the artillery. Artillery also causes fear, and that's a morale hit. Fear is a morale hit. So my question is, for these gunpowder weapons and for the artillery units, do units take these morale hits just if they're getting shot at, or do they need to actually take casualties for those morale hits to take effect? So, for example, with the ballista, which is the first tier artillery unit that's available, it's pretty crappy. There's really not much it can get done. It can destroy wooden walls over a long period of time. It can pick off cavalry units slowly, though. It's just one bolt at a time. The bolts don't go through men. It just hits one person and kills that one person. But the accuracy is so poor. I was wondering that it causes fear. Can that actually be used, or does it actually need to hit the unit for that fear effect to have an effect? If you know the answers to that, I'd be really curious to know, because that would make the application for some of these units a lot more obvious. So I'm going to go right on it and start building these units and these buildings. I think that I'm pretty sure I need a bell foundry first before I can... Where was I building that? Here? I think I need this before I can get the next boat building. But I'm not completely sure of that. I just completed my chancellery here in Cordoba, and this has given me this title, the title of Grand Vizier, and this is a good one, man. +3 loyalty, +1 acumen, and +1 command. Okay, well, let's take a peek around and see who I want to give this to. How about Amir ibn Yusuf? He is already the Emir of Cordoba, and Cordoba is my richest province at making 4,767. And I think we found out earlier in this campaign that the max amount of acumen that someone can get is 9. Now, he's not quite yet there yet. He's close. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's give him one more. I mean, he is the governor of my richest province, so I may as well do that. He's already a 5-star general, so giving him an extra command star is going to be good as well. So what are we looking at right now? 4, 7, 6, 7, and then give him that. We're up to 5,000. That is not freaking bad. I'll take it. And yeah, 5-star general as well. Not bad. He is going to be, well, he is already a great governor for us. Okay, so first I do need a cannon foundry before I can build that 3rd tier shipbuilding, which I believe is the Shipbuilders Guild. I just had to look that up online. So now I know that first Bell Foundry, then Cannon Foundry, and then the Shipbuilders Guild. And that's going to allow me to start putting out some better boats that hopefully will, give me the edge on the ocean. Not that I need it right now. I'm not at war with anyone. My trade lines aren't being threatened. I'm still making a whopping 4,862 florins. Everything's feeling pretty good, but still I want to keep that edge going. So I will be working on getting that Cannon Foundry and then that Shipbuilders Guild as soon as possible. Now Prince Ismail has finally come of age, and that makes me feel quite a bit better about my situation, because having just my king be alive was a little bit nerve-wracking. So let's take a peek and see how Prince Ismail is. My shipwright's completed here in Valencia. And a stew, I believe that's the building that allows me to train upgraded spies, I believe, is available here in Tunisia. Spearmaker's build is completed in Aragon. I believe that's so that I can eventually train Ghulam cavalry, is my guess. And then the King of the Danes wants to be allies, and I say why not? Why not? Let's be friends. And then Prince Ismail, how you doing? So, irritable, he is quick to anger and slow to forget a grudge, so +1 dread, and then Killer Instinct. He has a talent for killing, making him quite effective on the battlefield, and discomfiting those who stand against him, +2 valor and +1 dread. So all in all, pretty good. Ooh, he's also a 5-star general. That's pretty awesome. Let's take a peek. Yeah, wow. Oh, wow. This guy's good. 5 stars, 7 dread, 5 piety, only 1 acumen, so he's not really good at running the economy side of things, but overall, like, as far as keeping the people quote-unquote happy, and then leading general or leading armies. He's not bad. And also a good fighter because of the +2 valor from this. And then, yeah, some decent dread as well. Yeah. Yeah, he's not bad. He's gonna do just fine as my next in line. So let's bring you over to here just so I don't have, you know, all of my eggs in one basket here. And you have plenty of loyalty. Yes, you do. Plenty of loyalty. You're the most important stat of all. Disaster has struck for the Danes, and this is really too bad because they were doing so well and somehow their king only has 2 influence. They went in for an all-in strike here in Aquitaine. They must have gotten pushed back, and now they're dealing with their very own civil war. There's a full stack here in Brittany that has gone rebel, and then back in their homelands, it's even worse. Sweden and Denmark itself is going to go rebel. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here with the Danish king. I mean, he still has some loyal forces here in Anjou. Just a ton of Vikings. Oh my goodness. Those are good units as well. Yeah, it's too bad. Man, that's a tough run of bad luck for the Danes. And I'm kind of surprised that the Germans haven't had any issues. They have a 4 influence king, but their crusade did fail. It is officially gone. And I kind of thought that would have kind of did them in, but they're still kind of hanging on. Somehow, some way. And the French, like, what? How do they actually fend off this attack on Aquitaine? Because I don't think these forces here in Aquitaine are super duper fabulous. I kind of would have thought that a bunch of angry Vikings would have tore through them, but what do I know? And are the Sicilians still... Are they at war with anyone right now? They're actually allies with the French. Okay, smart guys. Yeah, they're being really... They're really choosing their time and place. You know, like they went after the Italians and they were really methodical about it. They just took after just the Italians, just took them out. And if I remember correctly, they bought these rebel stacks here in Wessex and Northumbria. I don't think they attacked them. I think they just bought them. So they're being really clinical. They're going to be kind of an underdog faction that I need to keep an eye on. And man, I thought the Danes were going to make some noise here, but having to deal with the Civil War is going to be... That's tough. It's going to be tough to recover from that as well. So, and the Hungarians are just kind of hanging out. They do not... It's like they're just kind of ignoring everything that's going around them. Like, they're just going to be friends with everyone and they're not going to fight anyone. They're even friends with the Turks. You know, like... Oh dear. Yeah, it's kind of, you know, like they could just take Greece, and Greece is a good province. It's making 902 florins, and that's without even trading. Or no, they actually no. Are they trading? No, they don't have a trading post here. So even though the Turks do have a boat in the Adriatic, they're not trading with any of these provinces because there's no trading post. But still, it's a rich province. Like even without trade, it's making 900 florins. So you'd think the Hungarians would want to take that off of them. There's really not much here, although I guess. Yeah, there's just a ton of Gulam bodyguards. Yeah. So it would be kind of a tricky province to take. And the Hungarians do have a few bishops in this province, so they're spying, they're keeping an eye on them. And they're looking and they're waiting to see if there's going to be a time to strike. I wonder if the Egyptians would strike first and then weaken them for the Hungarians. That'd be really nice of them. The Egyptians seem to be hanging on. They really do. You know, they kind of push back. At this point, the Mongolians just have Syria and Georgia in this part of the world. So, yeah, the Egyptians, they just brought all of their armies back to this border that I'm not attacking. And, yeah, they're going to hang out like that. How's the Egyptian Sultan doing? 5 influence? Okay, that's okay, I suppose. And how are the Mongols doing up here? Are they attacking the Novgorods yet? I don't think they are, no. They're just focusing on the Poles and the Egyptians, and that's about it. But it does seem like the Poles really have stabilized. I don't know if there's going to be a resurgence from the Mongols or what, but the Poles are looking okay. And are the Poles just at war with the Mongols, or are they also fighting the French? Nope, it's just the Mongols, which is nice. That's really comfortable. That's a really cozy spot for them to be in. Well, not cozy, but just have to focus on one side is a nice thing for sure. Now I can start building my cannon foundries in my provinces where I've built my bell foundry, and this is going to allow me to, well, first off, it's going to allow me to build demi-cannons, and I believe that that's a pretty solid cannon. that's pretty good at taking down castles. I've used it before, and I remember it being pretty good against castle walls, and also I thought I remember it being pretty decent against units as well, so it'll be nice to get that out on the field. And in addition to that, I believe I can start, yeah, some mortars. Why not? Why not just build up a few of these? They take 3 turns to build. They cost 275. Support cost is only 12, so that's, you know, it's not really not bad. Weapons cost fear, high angle of fire, weapon can't turn, short range artillery. Okay. And then mortars are short-barreled guns that throw shots on a high trajectory over fortifications to plunge down on enemies. Firing mortars can be quite complex, as the angle of fire, amount of gunpowder, and even the wind all affect accuracy. They can be used to terrible effect in sieges. Yeah, can they? I mean, yes, they can fire over the walls and hit the men inside, theoretically, but it's kind of more about taking down the walls, isn't it? Like, that's kind of what you need the artillery for. Well, there's our French Civil War that I was kind of expecting, and yeah, they're going to be having some trouble here, and that's not even with their crusade failing. It's still here. This is just kind of natural, good old-fashioned French unhappiness. So, and did the Danes just like handle their shit like right away? That's really impressive. So the Danes are somehow stabilized like immediately, although they still have to deal with Denmark and Sweden. They're gonna really want those provinces back, because how much are they making? 647 and then 349. Yeah, it's a little bit. Would be better if they had a better trade fleet set up, because they, you know, Sweden can make some decent cash, and Norway as well can make some decent money with their trade resources. So they'd be better off if they were just kind of focusing on trade. But you know what? They want to be a little aggressive. They want to fight some French people. I mean, who can blame them, right? So yeah, the Germans are still kind of not having civil wars. So that kind of surprises me. Again, I'm just kind of surprised that like the Germans are doing okay. It just everything looks so bad with them, but I guess they're okay. What is Flanders? Was this French, or is this French? I'd assume so. Yeah, Baldwin de Plaisance, Plaisiens. Yeah, that's French, I believe. More French than Danish. Now my second heir has matured, so this is gonna be Prince Yusuf. And yeah, let's go see how he's doing. Citadel's complete here in Lyon. That's my 4th tier castle. So now I can start working on those other upgraded, upgrade buildings, such as like the metalsmith upgrade and the armor upgrade. Get that going there. Gunsmith's workshop is finished here in Cyrenacia, and then Spearmaker's Guild is completed here in Castile as well. And then another gunsmith's workshop is completed in Algeria, so I can start training my handgunners there. Prince Yusuf, what do you got? So you're a drinker. Alright, so probably not as good as your older brother. So yeah, -1 command. Not great, but we have some magnificent builders here. +10 happiness, +2 loyalty. Then +10 happiness and +1 loyalty to all generals for my Khalifa. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff overall. Let's take a peek. Where is Yusuf? There you are. And oh god, he's gonna have to be babysat by his dad all of the time, because 2 points of loyalty, 2 piety, 2 acumen, and drinker. So he's pretty bad. He's pretty bad. So let's just keep him here in Aragon next to his older brother, I think, which is the Khalifa. And we'll just keep him there for his entire life. Here are the handgunners that I can now train. So handguns are not accurate or safe and are useless in damp weather, but it is relatively easy to train troops to use them, even though they are short range. Slow missile troops, handgunners are useful, if only because of the frightening noise and smoke they produce. So yeah, weapons cause fear, missiles very good versus armor, can't fire in rain, heavily armored. That's a surprising one, but that's good. You know, good defense, slow rate of fire, short range, and support cost of 30. So, you know what? Let's do it up. Let's get some handgunners going here in Algeria. And I can also train them here in Cyrenacia. And can I also build the next building? Or do I need a citadel for that? Okay, so I can't build the next building yet. I wonder what are the other prerequisites for that upgrade. Okay, so I'm going to need to build these citadels to get that gunsmiths. Is it the guild, I believe? Yeah, that's quite the investment. 16 years and 4,000 just to keep moving along with the gunpowder weapons. You know what? Let's go for it. I have the money. Let's do it. Why wait? So let's do that here. Let's get a citadel here in Cyrenacia, because that is the cost to keep up with the technology of the times. Things are just going from bad to worse for poor old Prince Yusuf. He has become a pretty useless drunk at a very, very early age. He's often drunk, he drinks too much, and is often incoherent with drink, thus neglecting his duties. -1 command and -1 acumen. You know what? We're just going to keep you real close to your older brother and wait for this to all go away. Prince Ismail, argumentative, he argues fiercely, often shouting wildly. His anger is swift, simmers briefly, and then pours out in a torrent of violence. This can be useful on the battlefield. +1 dread and +2 valor. It's interesting how, like, the argumentative, like, angry line of Vice and Virtues is just all positive. I wonder if it keeps going to the point where there is some negatives, but the first two Vices and Virtues for this line are, it's just all positive. You know, Valor and Dread. Sweet. Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. We'll take it. Ooh, and speaking of taking it, the Danes have finally taken Aquitaine off of the French. Man, the French are in trouble. They're still dealing with a rebellion or a civil war here in their own province of Toulouse. And what else do they have? It's just, yeah, it's just Champagne and then Toulouse. Ooh, they're on their last legs. Man, the Danes, wow, just coming in, like, dealing with their own civil wars. Like, this is still happening back here, right? The Danes still have Saxony, but they've lost Denmark, they've lost Sweden, and they're not even, like, they don't even care. They're just like, nope, we're killing French people today, so they're just gonna be focusing on that. Speaking of having a single-minded purpose, man, the Egyptians are like handling the Mongols so well. They're like, yeah, we don't need our armies for the Mongols anymore. Let's just build up here again and get ready to attack the Almohads. My gut tells me that's what they're looking at. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they're just building up to match my own strength, but you would think, like, guys, take Bulgaria. Why not? It's actually worth something. Okay, not much, but it could be worth something if you built up the trade here. They do have grain. Cyrenacia just have grains as sand, so, you know, you wouldn't be getting anything from taking this. It'd just be a waste. It'd just be a huge, huge waste. And with the Danes taking Aquitaine, which was, if I remember correctly, the last port that I was not trading with, now I'm making almost 6,000 florins per turn. Oh yeah, that feels good. Oh yes, that feels good. And with the French looking like they might be getting taken out of the game pretty soon here, that's my last actual enemy. So I'm just going to be at peace with everyone, hanging out, watching the world, you know, I mean, and look, like, I don't even feel like anyone's even doing that well. So, like, yeah, I'm sitting back being passive, letting my treasury build, but typically when you're this passive, someone is getting way too strong. And in this case, I don't know, you know, who that would be. Like, the Egyptians are pretty strong, but they still do have Mongols in their backyard. You know, that's still a thing. Other than that, though, I don't know. We look in here, like, I know the Poles do make good points just because they're getting an extra, well, they're getting a point for every province they conquer, so, like, their conquest points are just out of hand. And I know Hungarians are doing pretty well just because their two provinces of Hungary and Croatia are just making them 8 just alone, and then in conquest it's another 1 point for every province. So yeah, the Poles and the Hungarians do pretty well in points without achieving too much. The Sicilians, on the other hand, conquest is going to be 5 provinces for 1 point, so it's not from that they're making their points, but their homelands are good. Making 5 apiece off Sicily and Malta are good, plus another 1 for Naples. It's pretty decent stuff, isn't it? So I will be making an extra 14 just based on my conquest and my homelands. My Alhambra points have already been counted, so just be the 14 here. And that's good for now, but I have a feeling that after the year 1275, which is going to be the next counting period, I have a feeling that my homeland's objectives are going to be decreasing quite a bit in points. So at that point, it's going to be time for me to make some decisions about, when it comes to perhaps trying to slow down some of my rivals here. But for now, it's not really there yet. I'm still making money. I'm still underneath 100,000 saved up, Like having 82,000 feels good, but we can do better. We can do better. So let's just keep stacking those thorns, keeping an eye on the world, making sure that no one's getting too big for their britches. And yeah, just be patient with this one. It's a long campaign, It's tempting to think that once you reach the year like 1300, you might think like, oh yeah, we're almost at the end here. Like, no. You can reach the year 1300 and there's still 153 turns left. Like it's just a really long campaign. And it's all like, I have to remind myself of that very, very often when I'm playing this game. This is going to hurt for the Danes. Now the Sicilians are going to take advantage, and they're taking Sweden off of the Danes without having to go to war with the Danes, because that civil war was never revolved. So they're just taking this off of the rebels. Man, they're being cheeky. The Sicilians are being really, really tactful about their approach here. It's really impressive, honestly, from the AI. The way they've handled taking territories off of rebel provinces, and also the way that they've handled the Pope by just kind of keeping them in line and not destroying them. It's interesting. It's really good. Let's see, the Poles are retreating from Volhynia. And I'm the richest. Hooray! That feels wonderful. One of my generals has died. And let's see, what do we got? So Prince Ismail, this is my eldest. He is charitable, so he believes it is his duty to make some effort to help the poor, plus in happiness. So that is going to be helping out once he becomes the new Khalifa. He's going to be offering that plus in happiness to all of the provinces in the realm. Yeah, check out this weird-ass Sicilian empire now. They've taken Flanders off of a rebel army that I believe came from the French Civil War, and then they've just taken Denmark and Sweden as well. Oh dear. And they're still not at war with anyone, I bet. As that would be my guess. Yeah, they're not at war with anyone. They're just taking these rebel provinces as you do, and I think Flanders is a good one too. Well, we don't know how much money it's making, but they have 3 trade resources, so Flanders is probably going to be making some decent money. And I know Sweden and Denmark will make some decent money as well, so those are good provinces to grab. Yes, the Sicilians they're being pretty cheeky with it. Now I can finally build the Grand Mosque here in Leon. It was really tempting for me to build it in Cordoba just because I could have built it in Cordoba a long time ago, but it offers +3 morale. That's a good building, and I wanted to have that in a province where I'm going to be training a lot of soldiers, and that's going to be, Leon or Castile or Navarre or Aragon, because these are my troop producing facilities, because they all have iron deposits. So I decided to wait on that. I decided to not do it right away here in Cordoba, and to do that here in Leon instead. I don't know if that's the right choice, because I can always retrain units. I can always train units in Cordoba and then bring them up here so that they can get those iron upgrades and those armor upgrades. So yeah, I don't know if it's the right call or not. Also, this building is going to allow me to train imams, which is my really good religious agent. Well, my second tier religious agent. And the nice thing about them is that they actually do raise zeal, so that's pretty solid. Gosh, I don't know if I do want that here in Leon, now that I think about it, because having that in Cordoba would allow me to focus on soldiers in these 4 provinces. But then if I have to focus one of them on training imams, just because it's my only province, I can only build 1 Grand Mosque. And if I want imams, it's going to have to come from Leon if they do have that Grand Mosque. So, gosh, now I'm wondering if that's how I want to do this or not. I always could just retrain units in Cordoba, but then I would need to build all of the dojos to make sure that I can actually train all of those units first off in Cordoba for that +3 morale. Yeah, that seems a little excessive. Let's just get that going here in Leon. And yeah, that'll be fine. Uh-oh. What have we here? A Sicilian crusade marker, eh? Well, as it happens, there's only 2 Muslim factions left on the map. And I'm one of them. So I have this to say to you, Sicily. You better back off. Do not declare war against me. Do not do it. Gosh, you know, I was wondering too. I was looking at their fleets and thinking, my, oh my, I don't know if I can fight these. They have some decent numbers. And now that I'm looking around, a few of them are in sea regions that are bordering my territories. Yeah. I've been a little bit complacent about keeping the numbers of my boats, you know, up there. And I've been doing that. I've been complacent because I was just kind of waiting until I could build my upgraded boats so I could spend money on them instead of wasting, you know, money on my lower tier boats. But I think that I should probably get going with some more Bagalas in the meantime, just because, yeah, the Sicilians might actually declare war against me, and that would suck. That would sink a lot of my boats. That would do a lot of damage to me. I think that, let's see, where would I win? Do they have a boat up here? Nope, those are the Mongols. Ooh, wait, what? What's going on up here? Are the Mongols dealing with a civil war? I didn't know that was possible. Oh, cool. A Mongol civil war. Wow. Interesting. That's a lot. Yeah, they've lost a few territories. Ryazan, Chernigov, was that Peryaslavl, and Khazar, and Smolensky. Yeah, there's a few provinces dealing with some issues up here. Yeah, the Mongols are running out of steam, aren't they? Yeah, they're having some difficulties. I really do hope that the crusade is directed towards the Egyptians, because they're starting to come out of it. You know, they fought off the Mongols, they've taken back Syria, now they just have to take back Georgia, if they even care enough to do that. And they don't seem too concerned about the West. They don't seem concerned about Greece or Bulgaria. They're building up for this. And we are allies, so if they ever declare war on me, they would be losing a point of influence. And where is their guy? How much influence do you have? He has 5 points, so not an enormous amount, but still decent, isn't it? And I wonder about the Sicilians. See, what's really interesting about the Sicilians' situation right now is that since a lot of their territories are connected by, well, they're islands, right? They have territories on the English island or the British island, and then they have territories up here, and then they have territories down here in these islands. So what that means is that if their king's influence is ever separated from the rest of his domain, he could end up with his own civil war. Now, where is he actually? He's here, and he only has 3 influence? How? The Sicilians are like kicking ass, and he only has 3 influence. Wow. You know, because their colors are so closely, they look so closely like the rebel colors. If the Sicilians ever have a civil war, I wouldn't even notice. It'd be so hard to tell. So what would happen is, if they did decide to declare war with me, if they lost a chain, if they lost like a link to their islands, they could end up with their own civil war. So that's something that they have to worry about. In addition to that, since they did annihilate the Italians, they could be in line for a faction reemergence in some previously held Italian provinces, like Genoa, which is down at 135%. What other provinces? Tuscany? Did Italy hold Tuscany? I don't know. I think they held Corsica, right? That's only 122%. And Sardinia, 129. So, yeah, I'd say the Italians might be in line for a faction reemergence. The problem, though, is that when faction reemergences happen on islands, I tend to find they get stuck because they have this huge army that costs upkeep, but then they can't afford boats to get off the island. So that kind of sucks. So hopefully if the Italians have a faction reemergence, it happens on the mainland and not on one of these islands. Yikes, we did have an earthquake here in Portugal, and really unfortunately we had our ports destroyed, so we're not going to be making money off of Portuguese trade, and that's going to be a hit. I believe that's a couple thousand at least, so income halved. Well, yeah, right. So like the port's destroyed and income is halved, so I don't even know how much I'm making off Portugal in this turn. And the Prince of Novgorod has died from an illness, so his heir has taken over command. And the King of France has also died from an illness, and there's really not much left of their territories. Let's see, Musin ibn Yusuf is now eloquent, so +1 piety and +1 acumen. Okay. What are we at? What are we making? 385. Oh my god. Oh god. Oh, okay. And I did see a Sicilian crusade going. It looks like it's not being aimed towards me. Antioch, thank God. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, that's... Oh, thank God. I was nervous. I was looking at all of these Sicilian boats that are around my territories for some reason and just wondering, like, oh my God, I kind of lost track of this. You know, they have like 3 boats in every territory that borders Spain. Yeah. This is a half stack of boats right here. It's insane. Oh dear, yeah, the Sicilian Navy is looking pretty intense, so I'm going to have to get on it here. I'm building 3 boats right now, but like, yeah, I need to get my 3rd tier ships out and about whenever I can get around to that. Let's kill this French princess because we don't like spies in Aragon. We don't like her kind around here. So 86% chance for my 4-star assassin. Yeah, I believe that's going to get the job done. Hopefully it will. The Egyptians. Oh, you want to send an emissary to go spy on Cyrenaica? I think not. I'll send my 1-star assassin to take you out. 76% chance. I think that'll do just nicely. Yeah, don't give you guys any information. No. You guys gotta chill out. You have to defend against a crusade coming your way because the Sicilians, like, they're not that too far away. And let's take a look at this crusade. So yeah, they have Knights Templar, some chivalric sergeants, Pavese Arbalesters. So it's a small army right now, but they're going to be marching through Hungarian territory. At least for a couple turns. Yeah, that's not that much actually. They might have to reinforce this crusade with some more armies. Does the AI do that? Or do they just like send their crusade and say like, God willing it'll make it? Ooh, speaking of which, yeah, the French crusade is going to be collapsing any moment now, which is going to be taken away from the French king's already, I'm assuming, really diminutive influence. Yeah, he's going to be down to like 1 or 2 influence points. Just watch him end up with like a civil war with 2 provinces left. Oh, it's going to be so pitiful. My 3rd heir has just come of age, and I'm interested to see if this is going to be the actual son here. So I'll take a peek at that here in a moment. Prince Ali, welcome to the club, my man. Bell Foundry is finished here in Tunisia, so yeah, I just wanted to get it to where like I can get that 3rd tier shipbuilding building, you know, wherever I can. So let's see, Prince Ali, what do you got? So hedonist. He devotes much of his time to good food and other pleasures of the flesh. He is a little overweight. Okay, not a good start. Killer instinct. He has a talent for killing, making him quite effective on the battlefield and discomfiting those who stand against him. +2 valor, +1 dread. So it's a little confusing there. So -1 valor for being overweight, but then +2 valor for just being good at killing people, I suppose. So that, yeah, but +1 dread. So let's see how many stars he has as a general. 4-star general, okay. That's decent. Actually, this is kind of decent. 3 acumen, 4 stars, 4 dread, 4 piety. Okay. And most importantly of all, a crap ton of loyalty. So let's stick you in Aragon. No, let's put you in Cyrenaica. Let's just bring you down here. You can help lead the forces against Egypt if they ever do attack. Come to think of it, since Prince Ali actually is the next in line, let's bring him back up here And then let's switch him out for the eldest brother, the first heir. Who is that? It's Prince Ismail, correct? There you are. Prince Ismail, let's send you down to Cyrenasia. You can hold the line there. I just feel like it's a little bit safer up in Navarre, so do a little switch places, a little switcheroo, why not? And hopefully you'll be just fine up here, Prince Ali. So if you're gonna be the next in line, let me just double check this. Yeah, Killer Instinct and Hedonist. Okay, well, not the greatest, but these are decent stats for a would-be king. Well, I just had to flipping call it, didn't I? So the Italians reappear, and their reemergence just happened to happen here in... is that... God damn it, I don't know my islands. Is that Corsica? Is that Corsica? I'm not sure. Yeah, it's gonna be Corsica. Ooh, they do have a tiny little stack up here in Genoa. Okay. At least they have that. And let's see, is there anything that I need to keep track of? Nah, nothing. Nothing too crazy here. Yeah, the poor Italians, I think they're just gonna get stuck here. There's gonna be fighting. They're gonna fight this. Is this a civil war? Or is this just regular rebels? What's going on here? The Sicilians aren't dealing with an actual civil war, are they? It would say it here, I believe, if this was a civil war. And I'm not seeing them having issues. Okay, wait. Yeah, they might... What's going on here? Because this used to be Sicilian. And now it's just rebel. Did they just have a civil war? I can't... I can't tell the difference between... Okay, so this also used to be Sicilian, correct? Right? I'm losing my mind. I don't know. This is still Sicilian. Okay. So anyway, yes, there's a... Yeah, the Italians have Genoa, and then, yep, Corsica, Sardinia, and they're just going to be stuck here. They can't, without boats, they can't go anywhere. So, the poor Italians. And let's see, do you have some decent armies as well? Yeah, they have some decent crossbows and archers and stuff. Nothing really crazy in melee. Like, not a lot of melee, like decent melee soldiers. And nothing really great when it comes to cavalry either. It's just mostly, decent archers and some halberdiers. Yeah. Nothing too crazy there. And it looks like we now have that Sicilian and that French Crusade have both met up here. That French Crusade only has to have like a couple of turns left before that fails. And yeah, I can't believe there's still like a French kingdom that, to host a crusade. Like this French king's army is very, very dilapidated and is on his way out. Are they just at war with the Germans or no? They're everyone. Just me, the Byzantines, the Danes, the Germans, yeah. They're just getting circle beat by a bunch of angry factions. I'm the only one that's leaving them alone. I'm the nice guy. I have another title that I can grant that's become available due to this other building that I just finished. The Constable's Palace, I believe, is the one. And yeah, the term constable is a derivation from Comes Constabuli, the count of or companion of the stables in Roman times. This office of high honor is concerned with a monarch's field armies, important tournaments, and all other matters of military. The magnificence of the constable's palace reflects his high and mighty status. So this is going to give +2 loyalty and +2 command. So no acumen, no dread, or anything like that. Just, I need to be looking at what general do I want to have this. And I found one. I was looking down here, and I saw this guy, must have been a previous family member at some point, Ismail ibn Azar, and no piety, but, great loyalty, so it's not going to really offer anything in that regard. In fact, it might offer nothing. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that's the max, so I don't think he's going to get anything out of that. But he will get the extra 2 command points, and that'll bring him up to 7. 7-star general, not bad. In addition to that, he's a charismatic leader, which is giving +30 happiness and +3 morale. So he's not a governor, and I should probably change that if I can find a province that could use him. Just because the 5 acumen's good, and the +30 happiness would actually go into effect. But it's the +3 morale that's really good. Because if that does actually count for the entire army, then a 7-star general with +3 morale That's pretty gosh darn good. So let's make you the, what is it called? The master of the Khalifa's horses. Yes, yes, yes. Let's come down here. And wonderful. That looks good. Now I can also start building these demi-cannons here in Granada. Demi-cannons are small siege weapons. Small is a relative term, as demi-cannons are often very heavy. Thanks to the need to mount the weapons on sturdy carriages, demi-cannons aren't moved once in place. A demi-cannon might fire shot that weighs up to 30 kilograms and can do substantial damage. Absolutely, let's get these guys going. Weapons cause fear, powerful shot, slow rate of fire. Yes, I want them. Let's get a few of them, actually. Well, Prince Ali, which is my new heir, my first in line, he just oozes charm, doesn't he? This man's manner naturally puts people at their ease. -1 dread. Yeah, that's not really the direction that I was hoping that we'd go with this, Prince Ali. Because you had good dread. I mean, 3 is still not bad, but 4 would have been better. And I'm worried that that's one of those vice and virtue lines that's going to go, you know, further and further. And you might end up with -2 dread or -3 dread. I don't know, but I don't like the direction that this is going. See, this is what I was talking about. It's a slippery slope, isn't it? First, you start off oozing charm, and then you become charming just within a year. This man's behavior not only puts people at ease, but he gets them to go just that little bit further in carrying out their duties. So yes, +1 acumen, that is good. And that will lead to his realm once he becomes the Khalifa and making a bit more money. But yeah, that -2 dread, I suppose that's okay. I suppose that my kingdom is pretty healthy when it comes to their population loyalty, so I will take the extra money. And yay, there we go. Glorious achievements points. I just scored 12, and I assume I got another 2 points from Conquest. Yep, looking pretty good. 137. And who's behind me? The Poles and the Germans both have 95 points. The Sicilians are up to 99 now. Yeah, man, they're catching up. Oh, well, I don't know if they're catching up, but they're they're doing pretty well. Yeah, they are doing pretty gosh darn well. So I think what I would like to do is at least just play one more turn here so that I can know. It's always going to be the turn after you score those points where there might be a new set of objectives put in place. So I would like to know if anything changes here, if I'm going to be making more or less for my next counting period, which is going to be the year 1300. So another 25 years. So let's just kind of get through this turn and see if anything's changed on that front. I am 1 turn away from having this port finished here in Portugal, and that's going to be very nice because if we take a look at this, so I was making, what, 6,000 florins per turn, and I'm only making 2,000 florins per turn now without this port here in Portugal. That's how much this province means to me, making only 621 florins, oh dear. Yeah, so next turn that should be fixed once that port is finished, and that's going to be really nice. So, you know what, without further ado, let's just drop a save, end this year, and see what the, see what next year holds for us. It looks like nothing has changed as far as the glorious achievements points are concerned. Still making another 12 off of Homelands and another 2 off of Conquest, and that is totally fine, I think. Portugal, what are we looking at? Back up to 4,000, yeah! And back up to almost 6,000 as far as my profits are concerned. That feels so much better. Because, yeah, man, I was getting pretty close up to, like, 100,000, and then I just kept, building buildings, and, yeah, now I'm down to, like, 79, which is still fine. I'm still I'll get up to that 100,000 at some point here. And, yeah, the Egyptians are just hanging on. They're doing really well. They're doing really well, and there is a Sicilian crusade right here in Bulgaria, but it's not big enough. They're not going to be able to do anything here. And I wonder if the Sicilians, did they send any of their boats to attack Egyptian boats? That's what I wanted. I wanted, like, there to be a naval war just to kind of even the naval balance between the two factions, you know, and kind of hopefully some Sicilian boats would be destroyed in the process. But I guess they're not going to be bringing their boats into conflict with the Egyptian boats, which is too bad. That's too bad. Oh well, I'm just going to have to keep on working up to my 3rd tier boats myself so that I can try to, you know, even those odds a little bit. Because I am actually kind of frightened by what I'm seeing on the water. I know that the Sicilian boats like the galleys and the dromons aren't great boats, but still, just in the numbers that they have them, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. So I do want to get my 3rd tier going out as soon as possible. But you know what? Otherwise, this has been a pretty quiet episode, I know, but like it feels pretty good. I've been getting through some turns here, building up my economy, my treasury, and just watching all of these interesting things that's happening in the world. So you know what? That's going to be it for this episode. So I hope you've enjoyed this one, and thank you very much for watching. I've been Conostep, and this has been Medieval Total War. Thank you very much, and goodbye.